I like my glasses. They're so fitting for today's video. Mad cute. And the hair mad cute too. Everything's just mad cute. You mad cute too. You mad cute.
Perfect.
Wagwan goodie, it is your girl City Static and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and join the goodie gang. I'm going to be talking about my journey with magic mushrooms and the 2 times that I tripped out. I'm going to be talking about my experiences macrodosing and microdosing. If you guys are interested to learn about my experience macrodosing and microdosing magic mushrooms, make sure you hit that subscribe button, okay? And join the video gang. It is $3.99 and nothing but good vibe. Before we get into the stories, I am going to explain to you guys what magic mushrooms are, or better known as psilocybin. Psilocybin is a naturally occurring psychedelic prodrug compound produced by more than 200 species of fungi. Now we're going to go to specifically magic mushrooms. Magic mushrooms, or psilocybin mushrooms, are a group of fungi that contain psilocybin. These mushrooms are used and have been used medicinally, recreationally, and spiritually for thousands of years. Okay, this is not something new. When ingested, it converts into psilocin, which gives the psychedelic effect that it's known for. Think of bud before you smoke it. Before you smoke bud, when you roll it up, pack in your bowl, or however you're ingesting it, it's actually THCA. The only way we get THC is by heating it up. So when you light your bowl or light your spliff, blunt, you're activating the THC. Now, I'm gonna try just I'm just thinking back on these stories, and I'm trying to make these stories as informational without missing the point, without putting too much information into it, because yeah, these are it's an experience that is hard to put into words, because you would really have to live it to see it, to understand it. From a sober eye in, it's a hilarious thing, but when you're in the moment, it's not hilarious. It's, where's the sun? I don't think it's hilarious within the moment, because you really have to have mental strength to get past these moments, because some things you really believe you're seeing, but in all honesty, it's not physically there. Yeah. So my first trip, I'm not exactly sure what the date was, but according to my notes, it was sometime around the last week of January. But I got some mushrooms from a guy who knew 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 a guy who had them. So I had to link up with the guy who knew the guy who knew the guy who knew the guy who knew the guy. Anyway, it was a process, okay? Because if you guys are not aware, magic mushrooms, psilocybin, is a big ooh. Psilocybin is still seen as a Schedule 1 drug in the USA, same way as cannabis is still both Schedule 1 drugs, which is ridiculous. But yeah, so I had to go through a lot to get to this stuff. So once I got it, I had to think on it a little bit before I took it, because I wanted to make sure I was in the right mind space spiritually to have this process get it started and stuff like that, because the stories that I was hearing, the experiences that I was hearing, I just wanted to make sure that I had the greatest experience I could possibly give myself. Not everyone's gonna have a great experience, and everyone is going to tell you a different story. You have to create your own story, so you know, when anybody's interested, you can really come from an unbiased place and give it, like me right now. Where was I mentally before my first trip? I felt like I was in the middle of like a transformation. Like I was coming out of one part of my life and going into a new one, because I had just moved out my parents' house. I was really getting acclimated to being an adult, paying bills and all that stuff, and I just felt like everything wasn't where I wanted it to be, which is a control factor. And I just felt like a lot of people, places, and ideas that I put myself around wasn't it for me, and it was actually stopping me from growing. It was stopping my growth. And so I took these shrooms with the intentions that those blockages will be removed, and you know, what is behind me is, you know, brought to the surface, and the truth is all out, and whoever's for me, you know, will stay with me. If they're not, you know, let them release from my life. Yeah, girl, I tell you, I was really like, my intention was there. I didn't want to just have this trip just to trip out and say, you know, yeah, I did it and it was cool. I really was looking to change my mind. And I know by changing my mind, I can change my life. So that's what I wanted to do. So I got my hands on an eighth, which is 3.5 grams. And then I split that 3.5 in half. I'm not doing the decimals right now. But I split the half. I split the eighth in half. And that's what I took for my first trip. I had it in a smoothie. I blended it up and I drank it all down. I didn't taste the mushrooms. It didn't taste like anything. When I took the mushrooms, I already had a talk with my sister. She said that she was going to be my trip advisor, which was great because, you know, it's my first time tripping. I don't want to be tripping and I'm bugging. No, I need someone sober around me to calm me down, and my sister agreed to that. But what's so funny is that after we had that agreement, we got into a little disagreement. I mean, the air was a little stiff between us. Like, the air was stiff. But she still, you know, she still kept her word and decided to be my trip advisor. And when I started feeling everything, I was giggling and stuff like that, and I told her, and she was like, okay, whatever. In the corner of my room, there is a dress form for when I do decide to, you know, make some clothing, I make it. But there was a jacket on there, a big fuzzy jacket that I got from my sister, but because of the disagreement, she didn't want the jacket, so she put it on the dress form, and the shroom started hitting, so I was like really giggly and stuff like that, like, ooh. I wasn't seeing anything. I was just feeling that giggly and laughy and jokey, like everything was so funny. And I think I even wrote down like notes. Yeah, I did write down notes. Yeah, so I was looking at it. Ooh, my notes get a little personal, so I ain't gonna show y'all everything, but I'll read y'all some stuff. So my first thing was like, I don't know what time I took the shrooms, but you know, here we are. By 7:32, everything was funny, but my cramps are killing me. Still here for a good time. And then this is where I realized that time is a man-made construct and I am limitless. Okay, so I'm gonna take a break in the notes and I'm gonna tell y'all about that dang coat, okay? That fuzzy coat. Like I said, I wasn't seeing anything. I was just feeling quite bubbly. I'm just sitting on my bed, like waiting for this stuff to hit. And then the walls start moving. Y'all, the bricks started moving. They started moving like this. And I'm like, yo, that's crazy. She's just moving. And then this is when my sister is looking for some reconciliation. This is the time she chooses to come in my room, fling open my doors. I say doors because y'all ever seen them accordion doors? I mean, I have that. That's my doors, okay? No shame in my game. And it's like, swinging them shits open is hilarious. So she comes in, swings my shits open. She's like, I want to talk. And I'm just there like, huh? Like, you want to talk now? I'm like, I'm not going to take you serious. The shrooms are hitting. Things are funny. Things are moving behind you. Because she is like in my room, in front of the walls, the brick walls, or the wallpaper brick walls. And it's just there like, the walls are dancing. And I honestly told her, I'm like, you know what, can we talk about this tomorrow when I'm not on mushrooms? please. Because I cannot take you serious right now, and I don't want to come off like I'm being disrespectful. I don't. She was like, you know what, yeah, fine. And she leaves the room. But when she was standing in my room, she was in front of the dress form. The dress form that had on the fuzzy coat of hers that she gave back. And it did not look how it was looking before I took the mushrooms. That shit was looking a lot different, and I just wasn't appreciating its presence in my room. So I took it off the dress form and I went to my sister's room and I was like, please take this. Please take this. So she took it, thankfully. Whew. That shit was looking crazy in my room. And then as I noticed that the shrooms are hitting, I'm getting this like urge to call somebody. And before I wanted to call this person, I was feeling vibes for mad long. Me and this person's time as a friendship is coming to an end. I called the person and nothing. Now, from hearing that, you may just be like, okay, they just couldn't come to call or anything like they couldn't pick up a call. Like, it's okay. And like, it would be okay if in that moment all the past behaviors didn't fucking flash back to me and realize that not only this was a pattern, but you know, this person used my kindness as a weakness and a clutch for them. Because me, I feel like when I'm a good friend, I'm a good friend. And I feel like that also was my downfall, because you think you crossed me now? No, yeah. I feel like I just gave a lot in this friendship and I wasn't getting that in return. And I'm not even talking about on a physical, material sense. I'm talking on a mental sense. Like, I wasn't getting that back at all. I just caught the vibe like, yo, I'm done. And then I started crying. Bro, I started crying. You would have thought me and my boyfriend broke up the way I was crying. Like, I was crying. I was crying bad, and I was crying. And then I realized, I am not letting nobody mess up my vibe. No. Refusal. I dried my tears up and I decided to watch an animated, basically it was telling the history of Siddhartha. It was beautiful. It was very beautiful. I feel like it was for that moment. It was for that moment. Like, I needed that in that moment. So once I finished watching that, I was good. And then I got up, I started painting. And I actually painted this on my first trip. Oh, so my first trip was actually, this is my first trip. 129. It says first shroom trip. Aww. And I was listening to some music. Yo, that music was slapping so good. Music sounds so good on shrooms. Like, so good. Like, just thinking about it, like, ugh. And then, you know what's so crazy? Me and a friend honestly did not speak for like 5 months after the trip. Yeah, so if that's the 29th, yeah, I ain't hear nothing back till like June. And granted, I understand and I get that people go through things, and when they go through things, they feel like they have to just seclude themselves off so they can get their shit together. But I feel like the same mouth you could bad people up about, you can express yourself to say how you're feeling. It was a great decision, because ever since I decided to let that one friendship go, it gave me the courage and the drive to let other friendships and acquaintanceships go that didn't meet my higher good. But now let's talk about the second trip, because the second trip is the funniest trip ever. And I have not tripped since. I decided to finish off whatever mushrooms I had at that time. It was enough for me to trip out on. But in between, I was microdosing. I'll go over microdosing after I finish this second trip story. So I want to finish off what I had in my collection, and I put it in a smoothie, drank it, and I'm just sitting on my couch chilling. And then I get this overwhelming sense of failure. I don't know where the fuck this shit came from, but it was overwhelming. And I just start crawling up on my couch like, yo, I'm not a failure. I'm not a failure. I'm boo-booing on my couch. Triggered. And I'm here crying. I'm like, why am I crying? I need to get out this house. Forgot to say, it was about like 8 o'clock when I took them. And I was like, I need to find some grass stat. That was the only thing on my mind. And the nearest park to me is Prospect Park. So I trucked my dilated pupils to Prospect Park. And I went to the middle lawn, the really big lawn, at like 9 o'clock at night, but it was in the summertime. And I kicked my shoes off and I like put my whole sole of my foot in the grass. And that was the best feeling of that high. I just felt like I was calming down. And then D'Angelo was not having it. He was not having it. He was like, you need to go home right now. What are you doing outside right now? Why would you think this is a good idea? Blah, blah, blah. He was totally being a dad. And, you know, I was just there on the phone like, yeah, whatever. You blowing my high. Shut up. Blah, blah, blah.
You're not my dad!
And then I had like this overwhelming sense to go visit my friend who didn't live too far from Prospect Park. So I told D'Angelo, I'm like, I'm not going home. I'm going to my friend's house. So I went to my friend's house and I'm walking. I'm walking. And then I see this scooter. Like this big wheeled kick push scooter. And I'm like, I should ride this. And I rode it. But guess what? It was broken. It had no cushions on the handle. Either something in the front wheel was like broken and it wasn't straight up. It was like the front, the handle thing would like kick back. It wasn't sturdy, but guess what? That scooter was my ride for the night. And so I rode that scooter to my friend's house. I rode it to my friend's house. And then my friend saw it. My friend, you guys know my friend, Che. I went to Che's house and he was like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then I told him what happened. And by then, like, you know, the trip was coming down, but I kept seeing geometric shapes on his wall when I like blinked my eyes and looked at it. And I was like, yo, that's crazy. Wow. But I chilled there for a second. I hydrated, make sure I was good to go home. And me and that scooter took me back home. I think I have some videos from that night. I'm gonna enter it so you guys could see the stupidness that I was participating in that night. It's just me and my scooter. I didn't name the scooter. I just would like to go home. This scooter is actually really broken, so it's like no sense in keeping it, but I know it could get me home. I'm just trying to get home. Come on, bro. Let's go, bro. Fuck, man. I know the people gonna see the security camera tomorrow and be like, what the fuck is she doing? I just need proof of my story. Because people were gonna think I'm crazy. You're gonna think I'm crazy now. I'm screaming on Flatbush at 12 o'clock. Yo, did I really hit the wall? I think I hit the wall, y'all. And I tell you, the mushrooms wore off everything. I don't know. I'm just gonna scoot away now, so fine. Yeah. Yeah. But I did have fun. I made it home safely. I do not own that scooter. Like when I say that scooter went straight to the trash. As soon as I got home, I threw it out, and I did thank it. I thanked it for allowing me to get to my destination safely. I thanked it for holding on and not breaking down on me in the middle of the street. thanked it. I was grateful for the usage of that scooter, but it had to go in the garbage because it could not come on with me. Now that I got over those 2 tripping stories, I could talk to you guys about microdosing. So microdosing is when you take a small amount. So let's say you got a chocolate bar and it got 12 pieces on it, 1 or 2 pieces. You don't need to eat the whole bar, you don't need to eat half of it. If you eat half the bar, it's gonna give you a little something. If you eat the whole bar, you're blasted. But if you eat like 1 or 2 pieces, or even 3 pieces, like you have a little light something because it's not the whole bar. You get what I'm saying? So microdosing is great for concentration, it's great for creativity, it's great for creating that bubbly social feeling. I didn't think that shrooms were a social thing to do, but when you microdose it, it is. I found myself like being very chit-chatty and very friendly, but again, I could save that for a whole nother video because I just want to share my experience with mushrooms and how it's helped me in my life. I haven't taken them in a little minute, TBH, because you don't have to take them all the time. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Please do your own research. Don't just take my experience. Please do your own research. Please make sure you know what you're ingesting. Don't just go ahead and take it just cause. And there's a lot of spots who have like psilocybin readily available, but it's like, is it really that? Sometimes what I found out is that a lot of these psilocybin products that are just out in the open ready for you to buy, they just might be acid. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that. So that's why it's great to do your research and to get your stuff from a reputable source. The reputable source is not me though. I have no idea where you could get these things from. No idea. No idea. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you're notified when a video is ready for you to watch. If you watched to this point in this video, make sure you comment this emoji down below. It lets me know that the Goody Gang is well and active, so please comment down below this emoji. If you want a video with the history of psilocybin recreationally, medicinally, and spiritually, please get this video to 30 likes. 30 likes. And here are the shout outs from last week's video. If you want to shout out like these goodies, all you gotta do is subscribe and comment down below. So stay tuned because your gal is coming back with more real soon. Peace.